So a bunch of Magic players just got really confused with the new combat change that they just announced at MagicCon Vegas that's starting in Magic Foundations. I did a video on it, and I can tell people are confused because this happened. I got literally 1,000 comments on it. So I'm going to go over it. I'm going to give an example. I'm going to talk about how it interacts with some of the other mechanics. So hopefully this helps some people out. Okay, to summarize the change. In Magic, when you attack with a creature and multiple creatures block, the attacker gets to assign the blocking order. Okay, what that means is they get to decide which creature of the blocking creatures gets dealt damage first, second, third, etc. Okay, that's how it was starting in Magic Foundations. That's gone. What's going to happen instead is that the attacking player gets to assign the damage to the creatures all at the same time. Okay, and there's some very minor changes in the way things interact with this. So let's go over an example, okay? So you are attacking your opponent with a 5/5 creature. They are blocking with multiple creatures. They're going to block with a 3/3 and a 4/4, okay? So the first thing that happens is you go to declare attackers. You declare your 5/5 as an attacker. There's a chance for responses. Then we go to the declare blockers step of the combat phase. I'm being very technical here so I can slow it down for people. Okay, declare blockers step. Your opponent says, I'm going to block your 5/5 with this 3/3 and this 4/4. Cool. Okay, now this is where it changes. So normally you would have another chance to respond here, right? So after declare blockers, and previously though, you would assign the blocker order first. Now we're not doing that, okay? So now how it works is you will say, okay, my opponent is declaring the 3/3 and the 4/4 as blockers. Does anybody want to respond to anything? Okay, any instants, anything like that, activated abilities? Nope. Okay, so nothing happens here. The stack is clear. We're going to move to combat damage. And what'll happen now is me, as the attacker, gets to assign my 5 points of damage to the 3/3 and the 4/4 spread out however I want, okay? I could put 3 damage on the 3/3 and 2 on the 4/4, or I could put 4 damage on the 4/4 and 1 on the 3/3. If I really wanted to, I could put all 5 damage on the 4/4, or I could put all 5 damage on the 3/3. I get to choose how it works, okay? But once I've done this, there's no other chances to respond. You can't play a pump spell after this or anything. It is done. Those creatures will die. So what this comes down to is that effectively pump spells and similar are a little worse for the defending player if they're blocking with multiple creatures, okay? So previously to this change, what would happen is, say in that example, I attacked with a 5/5, my opponent blocked with the 3/3 and the 4/4, and I said, okay, I'm going to deal my damage to the 3/3 first and the 4/4 second. So I'm ordering the blockers that way, 3/3 first, 4/4 second. And my opponent would go, okay, well, I know this before damage is assigned. So during the declare blockers step, and since it's been ordered, I can use my giant growth to give the 3/3 that you've assigned first +3/+3. So now it's a 6/6, right? So that 5 damage won't kill it. Okay, that's how it used to work. Now what's going to happen is we're going to go to the declare blocker step. The blockers are going to be declared by my opponent. And now at this point, they have to decide, without knowing where the damage is going, if they want to use the pump spell or not. Okay, so they could go, well, I really want to save my 3/3, so I'm going to use my pump spell on the 3/3. And yeah, so I really want to protect that creature. And then, okay, so they would cast that right after the declare blocker step, and then we would go to damage. Me as the attacker would say, well, that 3/3 is now a 6/6, so there's no point in me assigning my 5 damage to it because it won't kill it. So I'm going to assign my 5 damage to the 4/4 instead to kill that. Okay, so before this rule change, the pump spell would have saved both creatures. When after the change, the pump spell basically saves the creature that the pump spell targets, but is not going to save the other one. So it makes the pump spell in this case a little bit weaker. Does that make sense? Okay, let's quickly go over some of the mechanics that interact with this. So with first strike and double strike damage, it's basically the same. Just remember, you get to assign the damage however you want. So let's say you have a 5/5 double striker and they're blocking with a 3/3 and a 4/4. Okay, what would happen is you would get to the point where you're assigning your first strike / double strike damage. Okay, so you would assign the points, and then probably one of those creatures would die, and then you would go to the regular damage assignment portion where your creature would assign the regular damage, and if your opponent's creatures were still around, they would assign the damage back. Okay, that's about how it works. Other changes, trample does not change, works the same way. Death touch does not change. You only need to assign 1 point of damage to a creature to kill it. Okay, that's what Death touch does. So, but there's no ordering of blockers anymore. So you don't have to go this one first, this one second, this one third. Think of it like you've got like Death touch pebbles, right? If your opponent blocks your Death touch creature with 5 creatures and your creature is a 5/5 Death touch, you can put 1 little Death touch pebble on each creature to kill them. Okay, it's basically the same, no changes. For banding, whew, give me a second. For banding, no changes. The player with the banding creature still gets to assign damage, so that doesn't change. Banding is the same. Menace, the same. Death touch plus trample, the same. No changes. So really the biggest change is if you are defending and blocking with multiple creatures and have like a pump spell or some other interaction, okay? Whew. Thank you to all the judges who responded on the other video to answer people's questions. It's not that complicated, maybe it just seems that way. But whew. If you have any other questions, let me know. Please.